The train whistle cut through the
We've come
cold
so far, but
Montana air
the
like a
journey
haunting
ahead
melody
feels
from a
uncertain.
forgotten time. Dust swirled across the small station of Copper Ridge as the 2:15 inbound train hissed to a stop. Thomas Granger adjusted the brim of his hat and squinted against the glare of the noon sun. He wasn't a man who often waited at the train station. But today was different. Today, his mail-order bride was arriving. A woman he'd never met, never spoken to, and only exchanged a few letters with. But Thomas was a man of duty. A rancher who had lost nearly everything in the harsh winters. And the loneliness that came after his parents passing was a heavier weight than any cattle load. He needed help, someone to share the silence with. Someone to make the big, empty house feel alive again. He didn't expect love. Love, he thought, was a foolish dream for younger men. But when the first passenger stepped off the train and the wind caught her bonnet, he froze in place, his heart slammed against his ribs as if it recognized her before his mind could. "Mary," he breathed. The woman looked up. Her blue-gray eyes widened, her gloved hand tightening around her small valise. For a moment, the bustling noise of the train station disappeared. Time folded back 7 years, to a warm summer evening by the creek where a young Thomas had promised a girl he'd come back for her after the war. But he hadn't. And now she stood before him, Mary Whitaker, his first love. The girl he'd once dreamed of marrying. But the letters he'd received weren't from Mary Whitaker. They were signed, Anna Reynolds. His heart sank. Mary blinked, her lips parting slightly. "Thomas Granger." He nodded, still stunned. "You're my..." She looked down, cutting him off softly, "mail-order bride." The words tasted strange between them. As if the past and present were colliding too fast to make sense of. Thomas felt the weight of every mile, every year, every word unsaid. I don't understand. You're supposed to be Anna Reynolds." "I am," she said quietly. "Or at least, I was when I left Kansas." "Things change, Thomas." Her voice trembled like a memory trying to stay strong. He swallowed hard. "But why didn't you?" She interrupted him again, this time with eyes that were shimmering but resolute. "Because if I'd written my real name, you wouldn't have answered." And she was right. He probably wouldn't have. Thomas stepped back, breath heavy in his chest. The passengers moved around them. And the steam from the train rose between them like the ghost of their past. "You disappeared, Mary. 7 years without a word. I thought you'd married that lawyer in St. Louis." She looked away. "I was going to. But he wasn't the man I thought he was. When I left, I didn't have anywhere to go. I saw your name in the matrimonial listings in the Gazette." She smiled faintly, though her eyes told another story. "I guess fate wanted our paths to cross again." Thomas rubbed a hand across his jaw. "You came all this way to marry a stranger, only to find out he's the man you once loved." She nodded softly. "Life's funny like that." They stood there, two souls bound by time and regret, neither knowing what to say next. The station master called out final departures. And the train hissed away into the horizon. Thomas finally broke the silence. "Well, I suppose we should get your things." Mary smiled faintly. "I don't have much. Just this bag." He picked it up, the leather worn and patched, and motioned toward his wagon. The road home was long and dusty, stretching through golden fields kissed by the fading sun. Mary sat quietly beside him, her hands clasped in her lap, her bonnet shadowing her face. "I never thought I'd see you again," Thomas said finally. "I never thought you'd want to," she replied softly. "After I left." He glanced at her. "You broke my heart, Mary." Her eyes met his, filled with sorrow and something like longing. "And you broke mine when you never came back." He said nothing. There were no words strong enough to mend what time had broken. The ranch appeared in the distance, a wide stretch of land, fenced by wooden rails and dotted with horses grazing. Under the twilight, it was beautiful but lonely. The house stood at the center like a watchful guardian, its windows glowing dimly from the fire he'd left burning that morning. When they arrived, Thomas helped her down. The simple touch of her hand sent an ache through him. "Welcome home," he said quietly, the words heavier than he intended. "Home," she whispered, looking at the vast land around her. "It's peaceful." "It's empty," he said, walking ahead to open the door. "Maybe that'll change." Inside, Mary removed her gloves slowly, glancing around the modest but tidy space. The scent of cedarwood filled the air. And on the mantel sat a photograph of a younger Thomas in uniform. Her throat tightened. She remembered that uniform. She remembered writing letters that were never sent. He poured her a cup of coffee, his hands trembling slightly. "So," he said, forcing a smile, "should we talk about this arrangement?" Mary looked up. "If you'd rather I leave." "No," he said quickly, then cleared his throat. "I mean, you came all this way. I won't send you back. We'll figure something out." She smiled faintly. "You haven't changed much, Thomas. Still the man who tries to fix everything." He chuckled softly. "And you're still the woman who makes a mess of my peace." For a fleeting moment, the tension broke, and they both laughed. But underneath the laughter was a deep, unspoken truth. They were still bound. Still drawn to each other in ways neither could explain. Days passed, and Mary settled into life on the ranch. She helped with the cooking, fed the chickens, and mended torn shirts with the same quiet grace she had as a girl. Thomas watched her from afar, torn between the warmth of old love and the fear of heartbreak. One evening, as the sunset painted the sky in crimson and gold, Mary stood on the porch, her eyes distant. "I didn't come here just because I was desperate," she said softly. "I came because I never stopped loving you." Thomas froze. "I know I don't deserve another chance," she continued. "But when I saw your name in that newspaper, I thought maybe, just maybe, God was giving me one." He walked toward her slowly, his boots crunching against the wooden planks. "Mary, I've tried to forget you every day for 7 years," he said quietly. "And I failed. You're still here." He pressed his hand to his chest. "Right here." Her breath caught. Tears glistened in her eyes. "But I don't know if love can fix what time broke," he admitted. "We're not the same people anymore." Mary smiled sadly. "Then maybe it's time we meet again, not as the people we were, but as who we are now." The wind carried the scent of pine and promise between them. He reached for her hand, rough and calloused, meeting soft and trembling. "Maybe you're right," he said. "Maybe fate wasn't done with us after all." She smiled through her tears. "Then let's start again." And beneath the vast Montana sky, Thomas Granger kissed the woman he'd loved all his life, the woman he thought he'd lost forever, only to find again through the strangest twist of fate. As the stars began to shimmer overhead, the ranch didn't feel empty anymore. It felt like home.